vacancy on the Board of Education.
Sure. Okay. So first off, to the candidates that we have here tonight, I just want to thank you for applying to be on the Board of Education. What the board has done is the board has developed a set of questions. We're going to ask each candidate the same questions. But the board does reserve the right to, throughout the course of the interview, ask some follow-up questions in order to get to know the candidate. We've allotted about 20 minutes for each candidate. What we're going to be doing is we're going to interview the three candidates. We're going to have one come up. We're going to have two. I'm going to ask to follow me to the conference room. We'll have them sit there while the first candidate is being interviewed. After that, that candidate can go rejoin the public. Another candidate comes out, do the same process, and then we'll have the third come out. After we interview the three candidates, the board is going to convene to executive session to discuss. If there is the board will then, when we reconvene, ask for a motion. If there is a candidate appointed this evening afterwards, we are going to read that candidate their oath of office, and they will sit and join the board for the remainder of the year. What this is going to be, just to remind everybody, it's going to be an appointment for the rest of this school year. I'm sorry, not school year, rest of this calendar year, up until the reorganization in January. In November, we will have an election with 4 open seats. There'll be 3 three-year terms and then 1 one-year term. So the candidate that, if a candidate is selected tonight, that person would then have the option to run for that 1-year term or one of the 3-year terms if they choose to in November. But it's just if a decision is made tonight, if an appointment is made, it's just for 1 year. I want to emphasize that. If there are no questions at all, we'll get started. Again, we have 3 candidates here. We have Ms. Shana Brown, Mr. Ben Kaczmarski, and Dr. Peter DiPasquale are the 3 candidates. We'll go in alphabetical order. So Ms. Brown, we'll go with you first. Mr. DiPasquale and Mr. Kaczmarski, if you want to follow Ms. Giosi to the conference room.
Required.
Rick wanted
Long
you to sit on the table.
Long answer.
They gave you a chair.
Thank you for coming.
Again, thank you for coming. We do have some questions assigned to the different board members. The first question is assigned to Mr. De Silva, so he will.
Okay. So the first question is, what prompted you to submit your application to become a member of the Board of Education, and is there anything in particular that interests you about this position?
Well, I think the Board of Education, you guys have a very important job. You are the watchdog of the education of our children for our community. And I think that through the years of my children being in the school system, we have a wonderful school district. And I want to continue to see that grow and progress as our world changes so that we fully prepare our children the best way possible. But I know that it's a very difficult balancing act between getting the best of what we want for all our children and being fiscally responsible. So I know it's a hard job. Boy, it's difficult being in you know, throughout the years that my children have been in the school district, there have been some questionable issues that have come up. And so I'm not one of those people that sits on the side if I'm upset about something or if I feel something is not being handled correctly. I don't just sit back and complain, I get involved. So that is why I'm here. Wrong answer.
If I may ask, just so that we know, because there are people, sort of a lot of the comments that we get out of people in the public feel it's important to have kids that are in the district. So if I may ask, how many do you have and what's your age?
I have 2 children. My oldest is in the high school, he's a freshman, and I have a 5th grader at JK.
Thank you.
That one was easy.
John.
Hi, Shana. Looks like you drew the short straw down. What do you see as the duties and responsibilities of a Board of Education member?
Well, I think, first and foremost, we represent the community. So we have a responsibility to the public to be accessible, to be able to answer questions, and to represent, you know, all the people in the community. I mean, we have parents, and you also have people in the community that do not have children as well, and you have to take that into consideration as well. I think you need to be well-read about the issues that are happening in education, because you need to be able to apply that to the decisions you're making all the time on behalf of our children. And I think you have to be open-minded, because we all have opinions about things. I have opinions as a parent, I have opinions, I'm an educator, as an educator. But you have to be open-minded, because there are other opinions or other facts that people might present to you, and you have to be willing to see the other side, because if you just go in being stubborn, change never happens. So I think it's important to be prepared and think about whatever decisions you have to make, and be open-minded to what other people have to say about those topics.
What personal or professional attributes would you bring to the Board of Education, and how do you see it enhancing our operation?
Well, I'm pretty organized. I was a teacher for many, many years. So, you know, being a teacher is being a manager. You're managing 20 people all the time while juggling many other things at the same time. So you have to be organized. So that's definitely one of my better attributes. I think I'm also, as I spoke with Mr. Denise, well-read and open-minded.
I'm just going to
That's
sort of
okay.
quick follow-up. So in your resume, you have teaching experience.
Yes.
Do you think that might be one of the attributes that would help our operation? How do you see that as helping our operation?
Well, I think having the experiences I've had both overseas and in-state, in New Jersey specifically, being on the other side, being a teacher, I can give the point of view of what the educator has to go through every day. That maybe a board member who has not been in the classroom doesn't quite understand.
Thank you. Thank you for replying.
Thank you.
Hi, Shana.
Hi.
Is there anything in particular that you would like to accomplish while in service to the district?
Well, I think that, you know, our world is moving where we need more science and technology. And I think that that benefits all our students to delve more deeply into STEM area, or STEAM now it's called. And I think that that would be important to move forward and perhaps have a center for science, technology, and math, and the arts. And I think from a few years ago, we had a lot of capital funds, and I personally fought against the athletic center, and because I thought that that would only benefit a small percentage of our students, athletes, and even a smaller percentage, a subset of athletes. Where I think if we have capital funds, it would be better spent on something for science and technology. So that would be something I would want to pursue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hi, Shana. Can you tell us a bit about your past or current involvement with any professional, community, school, and/or civic organizations, and what roles have you taken within these organizations? And how do you feel your involvement has prepared you for service on the Board of Education?
Okay. I am on different committees through the schools. I work on the JK HSO. Currently, I'm in charge of book fairs and author days. But in the past, I have done other things through Lenape Meadows, where, you know, I did the kindergarten, sorry, the,
Registration.
not registration, when they would come and we would welcome them. And as well as arranging book fairs and author day at school as well. I am a den leader for the Boy Scouts or the Cub Scouts Pack 258. Currently finishing that commitment. My son is going to be bridging over to a Boy Scout soon, so my scouts are all set to go. And I think, again, that's about being organized and making sure that a curriculum is given to a certain group of people. In terms of working as part of the Board of Education, I think it's just about commitment, being committed to whatever we're working on and being able to follow through. So my involvement through the community has proven that I can commit to something and follow through on it.
Hi, Shana, I'm Prima Murthy, nice to meet you. Thanks for applying for this position. At this time, do you see any limitations or conflicts of interest that might hamper you in fulfilling your responsibilities as a board member?
Short answer, I think, is no. As I said, I feel I'm pretty open-minded. And so I don't have anything personally or any positions that would conflict with the Board of Education.
And I'm just curious, when were you last an educator and a teacher?
2004.
Great. Our meetings are held basically every 2 weeks, with meetings once a month during the summer. A trustee can be removed from the board if they are absent for more than consecutive 3 meetings. Members are not only required to devote time to public meetings, but they are also required to volunteer their time by joining committees that might be of interest to them. Will you have sufficient time to devote to this position?
I believe so. I already have some committees that I am on, and I wouldn't apply if I couldn't commit myself 100%. So I don't see time being an issue.
Great.
I work out of my house, so, and, I have a few volunteer situations, but as I said, my main one is being the den leader, and that is coming to an end on March 4th.
Congratulations.
To be exact.
Ms. Brown, my name is Pete Wintrickless, work for the board. Please tell us something about the Mahwah School District that you are most proud of and why.
There are so many things, so it's hard to pick one. We do have an amazing staff. I'm very proud, and I have worked in, a wonderful district in New Jersey for a long time, but before that I taught in multiple other places. And I am very proud of the teachers and paraprofessionals that deal with our children every day. And I know that the board has a lot to do with that, being very, careful in their selection, as well as our administration. The kindness and the dedication that our teachers have, all our staff, is what makes our children want to go to school. So, our staff goes above and beyond over and over again. And I feel I'm very fortunate that my children have this wonderful staff teaching them every day.
And last but not least, do you have any specific questions for us, or do you need further information?
I know Mr. Bleeker asked me the same thing. You have a question? I'm like, I should have a question. But, I feel like I have an idea of, what goes on. My mother worked for a superintendent. She was the district clerk. I grew up collating board distributions when I was younger.
You wouldn't have to do that.
So I do understand what it involves, I understand the time commitment. So I don't really have any specific questions at this time.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, may I ask one more question? Do you have any questions of us?
No, I think Ms. Barron just asked that,
Did you? I'm sorry.
That's okay. Thank you, though.